Hello, and welcome back to another Northstar Plays Rebel Inc. A game about counterinsurgency, a game created in collaboration with U.S. security apparatus psychopaths. And I don't use that term for no reason or just for anyone I don't like. That term is overused. The fundamental difference between a psychopath and just a bad person is that psychopaths think nothing of controlling others, lack empathy for others, see others as just a tool to be manipulated to meet their own ends. And that describes the sort of people who were the counterinsurgency experts who were consulted this game. Fundamentally, a lot of these people are CIA types. Counterinsurgency types are very often also involved in the process of figuring out how to overthrow governments and set up transitional governments, the whole thing. So they're intimately involved in the process of like the U.S. going in, invading countries, taking them over, and then cleaning up the mess after is their specific specialty. And yes, in this game you give people water and healthcare and stuff, but they, in many cases, historically, countries are invaded had these things before the invasions. These were destroyed, bombed to smithereens, and will be taken away once the people are back under government control by increasingly right-wing governments. The game doesn't necessarily represent that accurately and has more of an emphasis on development programs than military force than would be realistic or accurate. That is, if this game was all realistic, you'd probably have more coalition national soldiers and garrisons, and civilian initiatives would be there'd be fewer available, or they would take longer, or they can be useful, but they would need some way to disincentivize or to represent the ulterior motives that really do exist in these programs of regime change, which aren't about freedom. They're not about bringing democracy to the Middle East or anywhere else. They are about control, specifically and especially of countries' economic systems. While there was the justification of harboring, obviously, like Al-Qaeda with Afghanistan when the U.S. invaded, there was no such excuse for Iraq other than stuff that was blatantly fabricated and proven to be false. The real issue with Iraq is that they didn't run their economy in the way that the U.S. oil companies wanted them to run their economy, and U.S. multinational firms. And the U.S. has also done invasions and coups in countries across Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa. While they haven't been quite the same counterinsurgency scenarios, the Vietnam War is also a great example of an insurgency situation, and the U.S. lost. Anyways, I'm going to do something a bit different here. I'm going to be playing as the banker, who are actually probably still a town planner. If anything, she wants to go tall, because she doesn't want to be spending as much. Militias are cost effective. She may be suffering low reputation. Combat. drill sergeants to be able to train national soldiers because the banker would want to delay recruiting them a little bit. It's a possibility. Yeah, I'll just stick with the arms dealer. Engineer, sensor. Uses reputation loss when insurgents capture zones. Yeah. It's more like recapture. Sometimes, especially if you're cutting corners as the banker, you can't avoid this on the higher difficulties. So, and it fits with the dystopian theme here. A banker on desert sands, which is actually one of the ones I've struggled to win before, and I'm really tired, so I very well might not, but I'll give it a shot. And now it also fits thematically. I just did a video on MMT recently, which is kind of a scam. Just put that up on my Northstar Stocks Politics playlist series, but right now I'm somewhat cheeky about control of wealth, and also having these people who try and say, "Oh, if we just fix this one problem with capitalism, it'll all be fine." It's worth noting that this technically may be the banker in a little more positive light actually playing as, and I don't know, MMT comes after banks and blames them for all problems while ignoring the zillion and one problems of capitalism generally. I guess if I wanted to play as someone to be the villain, it'd probably be the billionaire, but that would require the DLC I don't have. So, cool. Still have to worry about inflation. I might not want to go too aggressively with the government things because they're expensive though. So, medical supplies, because reducing corruption, well, costs money. Your starting budget is lower due to her outrageous... The banker earns extra interest on money the operation doesn't spend it. Your starting budget is lower due to her outrageously high salary. Indeed. Saw just there, I already got $1, and occasionally see a little 1 that's interest on money. It adds up quickly. I can wait a tiny bit longer. Let's see. Improve medicine set up there. Here. Seem to be doing the best in Zoo Victor. In terms of support. This doesn't add to inflation, so grabbing education literacy. They're raw quick. Time is money in a way. East Timor becomes the 191st member of the United Nations. That's a positive news. East Timor was, of course, a country area that broke off of Portugal, and they were finally forced to release their colonies in the Pacific, Australasia area, between Australia, Indonesia, Vietnam, like that, a whole area of the world. It suffered the East Timor genocide when Indonesia, which was a far-right puppet regime controlled by the United States, backed by the State Department and the CIA and U.S. military aid, went in and invaded East Timor because they elected a basically socialist-leaning government, not even socialist, and this far-right government that was essentially fascist decided that was a threat, went in and killed a massive proportion of the population, hence why it's called genocide, because they burned whole villages down and such. It's one of the 6 U.S. supported genocides in the last 75 years that's not talked about, because the Cold War gave the U.S. an excuse to censor things like this, discussion of its crimes, and going for the cheapest stuff to have more money in the bank longer. And indeed, the Cold War was a motivator of some of these crimes too, because the U.S. supported these far-right regimes to crush any support for socialism. The Indonesian genocide, which preceded the East Timor genocide, is one of those 6. Martial law declared in Aceh province in Indonesia. Yeah, the game has a lot of headlines of Indonesia here this time, as if to keep me on topic. Or on that topic anyways. The Indonesian genocide anyways was a mass murder of anyone who was even tangentially related to socialism in Indonesia. So not just socialists were mass murdered, but trade unionists, labor unionists, that is, their families, sometimes their friends, their lovers, their children. As so I guess their wives, their children, their daughters were sometimes horrible violence in them. I'm not going to talk about trigger words, the specific things are done them. Just acquaintances who might have heard something socialist from someone who happened to be socialist. It was just horrendous, widespread mass murder, and it killed about 1.1 million people. And this was funded by the U.S. government through military aid, foreign aid, and Nixon had personally visited the area, as did Kissinger. The U.S. government was very aware of what was going on. He actually helped give the green light for the invasion of East Timor, Nixon, because he visited the country right before that. Nixon was a piece of shit, though. I think most people can at least agree on that. Alright, I put off anti-corruption long enough to let money make money, which as a banker you end up with lots of money to throw at problems eventually. Alright. Anti-corruption 2. There we go. Since still didn't get any insurgents, so and some coalition soldiers. Surprise attack, nearby base, probably to the west, because I might see some evidence of it if it was here, or it could be in these mounds. Alright, development discussions, get those in. swimming in money, so I best spend it. Development Bank. Significantly increase the support level, especially in urban zones. Like here. 411 supporters. Oop. More enemies there. Probably not going to be able to stop the takeover of that zone, unfortunately. Traverse and guides. Need intel. The base is there in the mountains. I'm not going to be able to stop takeover of mountains, though, if I can't secure it. I'll try and build intel around it for now. Let's see. The sensor. Oh no. Oh, all this money I built up, might as well throw a little bit at the problem. Don't want to take care of that zone. District representatives, I need more intel. More places. Mudslides devastate mountain villages. Boy. God, just keep popping up everywhere. It's so hard to contain them. Surveillance drones too. All right, these guys are going there. Basic aid to the zone. How did they manage to take that? Just because they had so many fighters entering. Oh. Corruption's a little higher than I like. Medicine supply chain best improved. It's time for an outreach office. Commercial support. Targeting that urban zone. Some airstrikes. Can literally see the there. Have intel there. Was able to stop that. Outreach. Core healthcare. I know about the lack of stability. No one likes the banker. Charity, increasing support levels. obvious because my reputation sucks. Yeah, this map always seems to really screw over the banker. I would swear it's something by the devs not wanting anything cheeky that is critical of Imperialism. Banker, Desert Sands. Before they added the Golden Sands map, this one would be the cheekiest. Let's do rural outreach. I need initiatives out faster at this point. Personal health care. And the old nonsense about health is all in your hands and no one else. No one else as opposed to, you know, medical providers. And the need for provision of some basic government services. Print money. Not gonna be spending any for a while. communications office. Can actually afford it. Extra $4 versus strike there. Road time. Airstrike is mid money. Resources right now. Budget for like $20. That's really not going well. That fight. Update rules. Engagement for airstrikes. Gotta tighten the rules because they can't afford to have these events occur over and over. Unfortunately, that's gonna make it even harder to win combat. Ah, military surge. So the garrison stops that zone from immediately being captured. Cover up their airstrike. It's gonna have to be a coalition surge. Cannot wait long enough for the national. Reputation's too low. Military situation's too desperate. That event is nice when you get it. But, not be enough. Let's save, though. Might be a shot. Word offers support. Local ward has approached you and offered support in return for payment of patrons. What will your operation do? Ignore them. Arrest them. Reduces corruption. Gains reputation, which they desperately need, but they have a high chance of escaping. Or pay them. Has to be an attack here, doesn't there? 18 active fighters. It's a ton. Mercy rate soar. Yeah, keep telling yourselves you're the good guys. Really not. Okay. Can't get there in time to... This is gonna create more insurgent fighters, unfortunately, but just one there. That's it. Just one. I need the reputation. Might even be able to, before the zone's captured, or at least drive them out towards these mounds. No. This gonna get attacked soon. Need faster movement than national soldiers. These guys came out of nowhere up there. Great. That'll slow the capture of the zone in the future. I need to drive these guys out quick. Never mind. Hmm. Need more security. Polio eradication. I hope it's not like the U.S. fake polio eradication campaign is used to locate Osama bin Laden. Say you give out like water shots, pretend it was polio vaccines, which is a violation of international law. And, well, the fuckers who dreamed that up should have gone to jail. But didn't. Yes, Osama's a bad guy, but that did not justify what was done there. Destroy trust in the medical profession. Break down rules about impersonating doctors like that. And yeah. There's a reason that rules of war exist. Right, national troops. Oh, great. Really? Just as these guys are training, they couldn't. Now this is gonna go badly. And this stupid game keeps attacking these mounds instead of supporting critical fights or... There is police here, so... And I cannot ever do more coalition soldiers. Oh boy. This map is a particularly difficult one because there's all these mountains scattered around the cities that Surgeon's kind of nupping. Oh, bloody A. In this desert corner of the map as well. It's a very problematic map, to say the least. Business advisors. There's some eradication. Oh, really? Here again? Next to urban outreach. Strategic comms. Main roads too. From the military, because I need combat strength. Telecoms. Minutes here in this recording. There's an attack there. rights. Internalized increase in support. Green zones help with the annual budget. It's worth noting. Oops. There we go. Better dirt roads. National soldiers. AD vehicle upgrades. 22 surgeon fighters. Only good thing is they're kind of spread out now. Ooh, police chief. Security. Oh no. And all series events can be deeply problematic. not a good place for a garrison. I've gotten rather sick of the game trying to choose dumb locations. Probably intentionally more now that there's an advisor in the DLC you have to pay a ton of money for to pick. Some pressure. I've gone this far. Surprising. Oops, I have to eliminate that pocket. Spread too thin right now. Rapid air rotation will also help. Strong national soldiers. Probably full of coalition troops by this point. Highways. So a tiny area that has them, but oh, the insurgents all mass in there. Export agencies. Police chief committing human rights abuses. What I said about this game encouraging you to be evil, but acting like it's no big deal. Honestly, I swear games like this are trying to get people accustomed to these things and see them as not so bad. Give the police chief a promotion and bigger budget to work with. Something that's horrendously evil and varying character with the kind of imperialism that leads to invading a country on the other side of the world. Airstrike hits civilians. Apologize because internal review could lead to 10 restrictions on use of air power. Oh. pressure. Rivals stop funding surgeons. Keeping those areas contained. Use troops to roll out stuff faster. Refugee crisis predicted. Prepare land. Reputation. Military yet again. Pushing the mountains with national soldiers to win quickly. Secure that core map. Jews being rehoused. It's an insane amount of money. You see, operation budget $245. Push these insurgents in this one mound. Should be able to easily do that now. Civic financial banking is giving local businesses a huge boost. Compared to the starting point, since these areas of the world are ravaged by imperialism, by coups and bombing campaigns. These guys are struggling fighting the mountains without support. As much as upgrade the military. Still room for improvement, clearly. Judge at center of corruption scandal. More you have a larger your budget, the more often you get the extra budget events. You can arrest them, but there's a chance no qualified replacement, which costs reputation, of course. This also decreases corruption. Let's see, it's at 36%. That's 32. Corruption costs the reputation over time. I didn't get the no qualified replacement. was gambling on there being a qualified replacement. But also the fact that I would have lost reputation over time due to corruption. Some international assistance. Seven active fighters now. Remote subsidies. So it's raw initiatives, increases support. Remote zones, which is where I'm struggling the most. Wondering what I meant before by areas ravaged by imperialism. The most important type of imperialism, economic imperialism, where like the US will go into Middle Eastern countries and force privatization of oil fields that have been nationalized before, or force laws that make it easy for oil companies to operate there to more exploit laborers and not protect the environment in the countries they operate in. All sorts of abusive labor conditions, sweatshops, wage theft, trade union crushing, and these things very much damage the countries where they happen. For instance, wage theft leads to people obviously living in worse material conditions, being more vulnerable to extremism and recruitment extremism, and to, you know, turning to crime. One of the ways these areas can be ravaged is, of course, by crime networks. You get systems like warlords and patronage a lot of the time. Where the patronage systems, when material conditions are very bad, people use that to get, you know, jobs that pay decently, whether in government or in the military, these local warlord kind of people. Warlords in somewhere like the Middle East, whereas you might see just something like the chaebols in in South Korea, which are organized crime families that dominate the economy there. Of course, they hardly exist in North Korea, communist, which is a country that's suffered horribly under U.S. sanctions, which is another thing that ravages the global South. When a country does anything the U.S. doesn't like, sanctions or invasions, which lead to this kind of scenario. Nice garrison there. Right. Security, police patrols, local militia. Be best if it got a little better security in this zone before I clean up this last pocket. Yeah. That's good enough. The danger is insurgents can appear random places in the map. Sometimes if they're antagonists enough. Especially areas that have low zone security and not a lot of public support. This area, long under insurgent control, lots of hostile population. This one also has lots of hostile. International forces remain indefinitely, doing various concessions. This is my rep. Keeps the cricks, the one's right saw. Keep demanding concessions. That allows to roll some of the various new events. Say the various events of different possibilities. Further things you can ask for. Might have rolled them all. I didn't pay attention when I'd rolled already. I rolled them all at this point. And reject the deal for more reputation. Small chance insurgents will pop up somewhere I already control. New breeding program for goats. Project. Support. Support 65%. Not an amazing score, but I think they have 5 stars. Really? Whatever. Well, I hope you folks enjoyed that. Wish you all the best. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves. May always find a guiding star lead you home. Until next time, this is Northstar. Adieu. Good luck.